Let me first of all congratulate you, Honorable Haruna, on your nomination for this very, very important ministry.
Thank you.
For our great nation, Ghana. Honorable Chair, I know Honorable has done some work at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. At that time, he superintended over TVET education for most of the TVET schools that are now under the Ministry of Education. Chair, I would like the nominee to share with us, beyond the manifesto commitments, what are some of the things that he's going to look out for in terms of the role of education in this fourth industrial revolution, 21st century. Education is very important. I want him to share with us what his ideas are and what are some of the things that he's going to be looking out for to ensure that we have a more robust education system. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. First Deputy Speaker and Chair of the committee, leadership of the committee, and Honorable Minority Leader, members of the Appointment Committee, and colleagues who have had opportunity to come and solidarize. It's my honor and privilege to respond to the question posed by the just past Minister for Education on what President Mahama and the NDC intend to do with the education sector. Let me assure the Honorable former Minister that I conceive of education not just as a matter of human rights, but a powerful and key driver of development and one of the strongest instruments that can be used to reduce poverty, improve health, and ensure gender inequality. President John Dramani Mahama intends to increase investment in the education sector to respond to the infrastructure deficits of the education sector, beginning from preschool through basic primary education to free secondary school and to the tertiary level. Enormous financial investment will be made to continue with major initiative that was done. Chair, fortunately for me, this is a sector which has the best of expertise. I intend to rely on their varied experiences and expertise to guide me in the formulation of policy, the improvement of policy. But Mr. Speaker, let me assure this committee that President John Dramani Mahama has no option to cancel free senior high school. Therefore, those who listen to him, even in the course of his campaign, to have stated that he will expand free senior high school to private schools was to tell Ghanaians that as President of the Republic, he wants to give true meaning to Article 25 of the 1992 Constitution and Article 38, which spells out the objectives of our educational policy. But Chair, the important thing is that he will subject the free senior high school to a review. The review will mean subjecting it to, one, there will be a stakeholder national education forum to discuss the future and state of education in Ghana, with emphasis on the future of the free senior high school, in particular how to assure it of adequate, reliable, sustainable financing. Mr. Speaker, I do not want to, at this moment, stir controversy, but some of the numbers, Mr. Minister, as you may recall, I will validate some of the statistics to some statistical validation of those issues. So we will undertake a stakeholder forum which will involve donors and partners, involve academia, parents, and students to review the free senior high school program. I should acknowledge, as Pearl have noted, that it remains one of the boldest steps in wanting to transform education. It was a matter of debate between free universal education absorbing all the costs and progressively free starting with infrastructure. But President Mahama intends to undertake a comprehensive review of it to make it sustainable. Thank you.
You have a further question?
Yes, of course, sir.
Yes.
Yeah,
let me indicate that we have 2 members, leadership of the subject matter committee, but the 2 of them will not ask questions. One will pose all the questions. Ahead with your question.
Honorable Chair, I'm grateful for the response from the nominee. Honorable Chair, beyond secondary education, which normally is the upper secondary, because by our statutes, we don't look at junior high as part of secondary. Beyond secondary education, I know there are a number of manifesto commitments in the field of tertiary, which is guaranteeing or is going to promise of fee-free level 100. If the nominee can shed some light on it, so that we'll be able to know what's going to happen in that area.
Thank you very much, Chair and members, and thank you, Honorable Minister. President Mahama and the NDC promise free tuition for students from level 100 who would undertake normal programs in the various public universities of our country, including what he has said expanded to private tertiary institutions. They number a population for which the country will require about 345 million Ghana cedis. Of the population of students who enter tertiary institutions, that is what the state will be required to do. We intend to provide that money to the affected universities, at least one to make refund to all those who have already paid those fees. But Chairman, the beauty of this is that it's open. Even parents who are still willing to pay can do so under this principle that has been introduced by the NDC. So we intend to mobilize with the Ministry of Finance some additional financing to cater for the population of students. It will be in the region of 125,000 as I look at it, and will provide 375 million Ghana cedis to support that. So every student who has paid will have a refund of his money, and the President intends to expand this over the years. Thank you.
Please proceed.
Honorable Chair, one of the areas that I will always be proud of as a former Minister for Education is the area of science, technology, engineering, mathematics education. Great progress has been made. Yes. And as measured...
Please address the Chair.
Chair, great progress has been made. It has been validated. It has been validated around the world. STEM education in Ghana. I want to ask the nominee what plan his soon-to-be ministry is going to do about STEM education.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, Honorable. The significant thing for the NDC and President Mahama, as far as education is concerned, is for us to contribute meaningful to our national sustainable development efforts. At the tertiary level, emphasis will be on access, quality, and relevance. At the secondary level, emphasis will be on foundational learning in order that we can produce critical thinkers for the future. There will be a review of pedagogy and curriculum at all levels of education to meet the country's aspirations into the future and for meaningful contribution to our national development effort. I should note the effort you have done in getting STEM. We intend to build, at least in every region of Ghana, a model STEM school which will carry from kindergarten to senior high school to produce men for the future of work. We appreciate that going into the future, we will need to train more people in science, information and communication technology, and engineering. In that respect, our universities will be expected to relate more to industry without compromising their core academic objective training models. Thank you, Chair.
Any further question?
Yes, please. Honorable Chair, this House has had an opportunity to approve Get Farm formula. We've all lamented about capping and debate about uncapping. I want to know the opinion of the nominee. In the next budget coming up, what he intends to advocate for and push for in order to meet these aspirations of this House, which has been around for a long time. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for the question. And for me, also nostalgic. Those days in 1997, I was one of the strong advocates with many of our colleagues around here to advocate for the establishment of the GET Fund. Before then, tertiary education was largely public funded. Tuition remained free. There was no access even to private tertiary institutions. The Ghana Education Trust Fund has done its part. In the last few years, it has suffered because of the decision of then Minister of Finance to cap it. President Mahama and the Minister of Finance have gone public, and I join them in saying that we will uncap the GET Fund to free additional resources to support robust infrastructure development. Indeed, mathematically, cap GET Fund today is about $3.2 billion Ghana cedis, 3.2 billion Ghana cedis. Uncap it will make available to the Ministry of Education some 7.9 billion, which will accelerate expanded infrastructure. For instance, there are about 2,800 schools that needs to be fixed to deal with the problems of overcrowding. There are about 26,000 schools which has no changing facility for young girls for purposes of hygiene. There are about 780 schools that is required to expand access to junior high school. We will uncap GET Fund. I would engage the Minister for Finance to do this as a matter of expediency, and for the President to engage with the IMF to review the memorandum which included the GET Fund in the negotiations. President Mahama has said that he will review the IMF. So part of the review will be to uncap the GET Fund and free those additional resources to support the country to rely on GET Fund resources to finance education generally, in particular higher education.
Please proceed to ask the question.
Honorable Chair,
And I'm coming to you.
in this great country, Ghana, the middle class has been squeezed for many years. Teachers, nurses have been squeezed, given the fact that majority of them have to find money to send their children to private school at the junior high school level especially, before then jumping into public schools at the senior high school level. Our public schools have gone into serious dilapidation for many years. And I'm happy that we began an effort to transform public schools. Public schools in rural areas have seen new facilities. Urban areas, new public schools have been built so that the middle class can find solace in our public schools. And I'm happy that at least in Greater Accra, you can see Accra STEM Academy.
Please, order, order. Honorable Yusuf, I do not want to mention your name again.
Again. So the public school transformation agenda is something that is very dear to the middle class. Honorable Chair, I want to ask my soon-to-be Minister for Education what are his ideas and opinions about making sure that children, all children, have quality public schools to attend, and that if a parent doesn't have the resources, they will not go and look for a loan to send their children to private schools. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, our intervention in the education sector will be all-encompassing. We will give true meaning to the pursuit of free, compulsory, universal basic education. In my reading in the last few days, I have come to appreciate a major dichotomy which needs our urgent critical attention. Rural-urban dichotomy in the quality of education, northern-south dichotomy in the quality of education, and more deprived schools not producing because of quality of teachers and the presence of teachers in those areas. I intend, even when we assume office, to engage the Honorable Minister for Local Government as part of the financial realignment to get him to accept that teacher accommodation can be done by realigning common fund into building those for teachers in the rural areas. I do know that conditions of service generally for workers in the Ghanaian public sector is not the best. I had the privilege in the last few years to be Ghana's Minister for Employment. I did my utmost best to deal with some of the most incipient labor disputes of the country. But nonetheless, the cascading effect of what you do for the teacher, its economic and financial implications for the nurse, the pharmacist, the doctor, is what guides the purse. Therefore, what is in the kitty? We need to improve revenue mobilization generally. And in education, it will be appreciated if, and Parliament members are here, if we can dedicate 20% of national expenditure into education, or allocate at least a minimum of 5 to 6% of GDP to support education, then over a 10-year period, we would have done enough to expand and make these facilities available. At the basic level, and this was my concern, you haven't achieved free compulsory universal basic education, and you have up there a free senior high school education. You will still have in urban areas, Honorable former Minister and Chairman, in the urban areas, the out-of-school dropout, you see them. In the rural areas, you don't. That's the danger. We also have to be careful that we are not producing unemployed graduates from free senior high school who would become a threat to an unemployable. So that is why Minister hailed some of the TVET initiative, because we have to improve employability. And employability is better done through technical vocational training. We will expand access to all TVET institutions. I'm aware that some of your initiatives were 30, 20, 40%, because you didn't have money because you capped GET fund. You remember, I don't want the minority leader to look into my eye. So the uncapping didn't free resources for you to be able to expand those TVET institutions. President Mahama and the NDC will complete all those TVET institutions, given respect to the directive principles of state policy, that as president, he has a responsibility to the state to continue every good initiative of the previous government. I thank you.
Thank you. You have further question? Please go ahead. And I plead that that should be the last question.
The last one. Honorable Chair, I think there has been interesting debate about the issue of E-blocks. And E-blocks, we completed a number of them across the country. But the good news is that government is a continuum. And that is why, beyond completing E-blocks, we added boarding facilities to those that are in remote locations. Adansia Peja is an example. Edujama is an example. Drobonso is an example where we added boarding facilities so that the facilities will become useful to the people of Ghana. It's not about us, it's about the children. So I think beyond completing e-blocks that have not been completed, Honorable nominee, Honorable Chair, would the Honorable nominee look into the possibility of adding boarding facilities if an e-block is in a distant location and students cannot walk to the school, so they become more useful to the country? Thank you.
Chair, the government will have no difficulty at all accepting to work to add boarding facilities where it's necessary. My own personal experience during the campaign was a day I was driving from Yendi towards Miang, and you see a major E facility on the Miang Road. I saw school girls and boys walking the street from Yendi Kulkwin walking towards that area. That reminded me that if there's any opportunity to add a boarding facility to that, we should do that. And then also in Cherpune and also in Wulesi on the same road, I saw a facility where many of the catchment communities needed that. We would have no difficulty expanding boarding facilities where necessary. Ours is to expand access, ensure relevance and quality delivery by improving the conditions of service of teachers to the best that the economy can do, and to improve their quality through motivation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chair, thank you. Honorable Yusuf, you may have the floor.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairman. And first of all, let me congratulate my senior brother, Honorable Iddrisu Haruna, for this nomination. And also just to put it on the record that we are very proud of you, especially with the young politicians from the North. And you serve as inspiration to us from your days as the student leader all the way to your parliamentary responsibility, from being a Minister of Communication, Minister of Employment, and now Trade, and also this thing. My question to you, Honorable nominee, one of the biggest challenges in our educational sector is the high drop rate of the basic level. And according to the African Education Watch, in the northern region, only 5 out of 10 students who enroll in KG are able to complete primary school. And after that, only 3 are able to complete JSS. Being the first Minister for Education from the northern sector of our country, in the Fourth Republic, what will you do to ensure that we address this issue that the Ghana Education Watch have just identified? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman and members, and colleague, thanks for those warm compliments. It's important again to recognize that as a country, there is the northern-south divide when it comes to access to education, beginning from 1876, when the first school was established, and subsequently in the north we got ours around 1951. So you can imagine the gap and the deficit. Even Achimota School around 1924, at the time that Tamale Secondary School, which became the first in the north, we will work to close that gap. Indeed, even for the implementation of the free senior high school, it is noted that participation rate is very high in northern Ghana. That explains that probably it is true that poverty was a problem to accessing quality education. So it's quality, equality, and equity. I also note that there's about 5,000 infrastructure deficit when it comes to provision of junior high school, basic schools, and secondary schools in northern Ghana, and also in Oti and western north. The statistics is not too encouraging for them. The urban concept, many in this area have taken full advantage of it. With the rare privilege of the President entrusting me as his Minister for Education, I will work towards equity and improve quality to education at all levels of our country. I would endeavor to close that gap, recognizing that I may have to do some affirmative action interventions to get it going, to correct some of the historical imbalances that are responsible for the deficit. I thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Roxanne Nelson.
Chairman, thank you very much. Leader, you are welcome.
Thank you, Honorable.
Yet, you are moving to your fourth ministry, from communications to trade to labor and employment, or employment and labor, and now education. I'm sure something bigger will follow this. You are welcome. Let me say that the dexterity with which you answer your questions, oscillating between different subject areas, even though they are education, tells me that you flourish in this portfolio too. You will do well. And let me also commend you that I'm part of the people you mentored. I remember very well the day you asked Abuja to mentor me because I have potential. And we are your products. You know your products. We have about 7. Sweeney is here. So we want to commend you for this. I want to wish you well. And we know that the reform that the sector cries for, you bring to bear, especially in areas that require it. The free SHS bill that was never done, I'm sure it will be one of your priorities so that it could be passed to ground this good policy. We wish you well. Approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Honorable, for those warm words.
I will take a comment from the Chief Whip, Honorable Anodombre.
Oh, I live in.
Let there be order.
Honorable Leader, may I have your attention? Let me join colleagues to commend you highly for your nomination. Not to depart essentially from what my good friend Rambo Dafemepo said. We've known you way back. We all know, I personally know what you have done in terms of your contribution to where I am today. I recall our days at the Nooks. I can only urge you and encourage you. I don't have a question for you. Your competence cannot be lost on somebody like me, and those of us in the minority especially. We know what you are and what you are capable of doing. I only want to caution that just be careful as you move forward. We are praying for you. Please be careful. Expectations out there are very high. And those of us in the minority, we love you. We love you. We want to see you succeed. We want to see the Honorable Haruna succeed. I am only cautioning, Honorable Leader, I'm only cautioning, just tread with caution and just be cautious. We are with you and we wish you well. Honorable Chairman, thank you.
Caution noted.
Thank you very much. I will now move to Deputy Majority Leader, whether he has a question or a comment.
Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, congratulations.
Thank you,
Indeed, and the right for the courtesies we are seeing this morning because of your long years of dedicated service to our country. And there's no doubt in my mind that you are going to be a very successful education minister. I have personally worked with you and received a lot of support as energy minister. I've sat with you. And so there's no doubt in my mind that you are going to be very successful. But the sector you are entering has a lot of challenges. And one of them has to do with industrial unrest, especially strikes by various professional groups in the educational sector. I know you've been a labor minister. And these are challenges that will stare you in your face as a minister. What are some of the strategies that you'll be adopting to address some of these challenges?
Chair, thank you very much. As I have said, it is a sector which is also advantageously has the best human resource of our country, from the professors, doctors. We will work with them. Industrial disputes are inevitable. And for a developing country like ours, you naturally should anticipate some labor unrest, some conflict between labor and government on matters which borders on their conditions of service. For the universities, the statutes of the university provide how council can negotiate them. There were contentious issues about book and research allowance, but more importantly, it's always a question of government timeously responding to agreements that have been made with trade unions and organized labor. If you say that you want to revise allowances, it takes effect from 1st June. For many of them, they expect that by 1st July, that is ready, at least to complement what they call their meager or inadequate salary. So the finance minister can, at many instances, I've had that experience with the Honorable Seth Tekpe then when he was Minister for Finance. And Chair, if you permitted me, I'll just share this example. There was an instance where judicial service workers embarked on strike action. At the time, Theodora Georgina Wood was the Chief Justice of the Republic. And in a meeting that President Mahama requested Julius Debra, Chief of Staff, together with myself and others to engage, I had to ask the Honorable Seth Tekpe that, does he appreciate what it means when judicial service workers are on strike? If somebody was entitled to a bill, and I'm sure Honorable Minority Leader should be interested in this, if the courts don't sit, you'll be putting the person into a human rights crisis. At the time, Justice Theodora Wood related to me that, look, in our IGF, there's about 38 million. We cannot touch it because the Ministry of Finance have not granted us permission to use IGF. It was when my attention was drawn even to a major constitutional deficiency, and I'm happy to bring it to your attention. At the time, judicial service workers, even up till now, unlike Parliament, you have your CI 118. This country have not treated the judicial organ of state with that. They don't have that. I think Article 1582 of the Constitution should deal with that particular matter. They are entitled to it. It was then I got the advice then from the Chief Justice that, look, let's engage the Minister of Finance, let him allow you 30–40% to use the IGF so that sometimes when these fires erupt, you can deal with it at your own level. So I want to believe that I do not anticipate. I know that SITAC is unhappy. I know many teachers' unions are waiting for President Mahama to assume office and they will say our outstanding allowances have not been paid. We will deal with it per what is available in the national kitty. We will do our best to keep the industrial peace of the country and keep the peace within the education sector and many other sectors of the economy for the good of our country. Thank you.
Robert Haruna, you are going to a ministry and the challenges are many. You are already aware of them, and I think a lot has been talked about. And these are no questions I expect you to answer. The challenges with the arrears of school feeding program, the challenges with gender. Well, they will have to collaborate with the Ministry of Education. Okay, well, let the nominee answer. The challenges with taking out schools on the tree, and so many others that I'm very, very sure that you are competent to address. So I wish you all the best, and congratulations.
Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. We proceed to take a comment from Deputy Minority Leader.
Right, thank you very much, Chairman. It will be most unfortunate if I don't add my voice to the many blessings that are going the way of my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. So I just didn't want to keep quiet, but to bless him. I know your competencies, and I know when people were questioning why education, I knew what you could do. So I bless you. The name of the...
Thank you, Chair. Amen. I hope I have the permission to call Emma Pat. Thank you, thank you.
It's now the turn of Minority Leader and the ranking member of the committee.
Chairman, thank you very much. Leader, this room is filled to its full capacity. It tells all of us how popular you are with ordinary people. I can see behind you a lot of people. Now, I want us to do a little exercise. On your CV, you have on page 1 of 3, you have for residential address, 2 Shippy Close, Fedeos, Cantonment, Accra. If you'll be pleased, the cantonment is where you live, correct?
Yes. I live, when you are entering the house, you see the fiddles written by the wall.
Very well, Nominee, I understand. I know cantonment very well. You live at cantonment?
Yeah, I do. I used to be in Bubuashi.
Honorable Nominee, you provide the specific answers to the very questions I ask. You know, you being my respected senior, members want us to finish you quickly. And if you open yourself up, then maybe there will be more follow-ups. So you live at cantonment?
Yes.
Very well. Now, this residential facility, this property, is it a rented property or it is your house?
It is my house.
You are very honest. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu. The reason why we, the young ones, respect you is such courage to face the truth that will take you higher, as prophesied by Roxanne. So it is no offense for a politician to own a property at cantonment, correct?
Not at all, depending upon your...
Order. Chairman, with respect. You've had calls to caution the friends of this committee from the majority side. Please, let us observe some decorum, respectfully. Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, saying, in Krahim Fanawote,
Meti cantonments, baby.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, that's not allowed by our rules. Mr. Chairman,
because
Mr. Chairman,
I tried the tree with you because on your CV. Oh, colleague, on his CV, we are not done. Chairman, these your friends.
Please go ahead and address the chair.
Chairman, thank you. Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, Papacho, why an MP in Fiesane?
I bet it's 20 years in there.
Very well. So those are you've passed. Because Honorable nominee, you say on your CV that you speak English, Dagbani, Hausa, and Twi.
That's true.
I am thus far impressed with your Twi. I'm sure that there is a Southern inspiration.
My wife, Mary, Safwa Yeboah.
Oh, very well.
Sometimes when I'm coming out, I don't know about church, me say, Chino, Messia, Namin Bowadin, Namin Kanaye.
So, Chair, you have disclosed that Madam has inspired you with a tree. That's great. So, Chair, I want to know from the nominee whether or not he benefited from free education.
I did, coming from northern Ghana at the time. I attended Kulukul School through Bagabaga JSS, through Tamale Secondary School and Navasco, and education was generally free for that part of our country. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, respectfully, you had your O-level in Tamale Secondary School, but went to Navrungo for your A-level. Can you tell me what inspired you to move from the Great Tamasco, right? From the Great Tamasco to the Great Navasco?
When we wrote the GC O-level exams, I think that I didn't do well in mathematics for that particular sitting. And Tamasco at the time was insisting on a particular grade. And Navasco was open. If you had evidence that you were about rewriting, you could come and justify. So I went to Navrungu Secondary School for the A-level. And I'm proud to say that 1991, I probably was one of the best A-level students Navasco produced. I still hold one of the best grades ever in business management from Navasco. That record have not been broken. And so yes, this was what motivated. But traveling to Navrungu Chair was a difficult one. 7 hours from Tamale to Navrungu. And then you are carrying your gari in a chop box. You are not sure of the metro mass. We have survived and we have come a long way. Thank you, Chair.
So, Honorable nominee, I can understand why you had to go through a law program with those inspirations you've studied, philosophy, sociology, and all, and then from there you had to do law. Now, I note from page 3 of 3 on your CV, respectfully, your membership of the Ghana Bar. Membership of Ghana Bar, 2002 to date. As you may be well aware, as a lawyer, your membership to the bar, or with the bar, at the bar, originate from your being a member of a law firm, or a department of an agency so recognized, by by the state. Now, let me explain, because my respected colleague is trying to draw my attention, though not on record. When you are called to the bar, you are a lawyer. You've been called to the bar after pupillage, yes. But your annual subscription, you cannot, unless something has changed that I don't know, you are able to pay for your subscription if you can relate to a law firm or a department, a legal department of an institution. So please, that is not indicated. Which law firm do you?
Chairman, thank you very much. You know, at the time I finished University of Ghana, even though a student activist, I had a strong bond with Speaker Alban Bagbin, and therefore he recommended me for Law Trust. I've since been, one of our partners is here, James Mensah Kule, who is my law school mate, and minority leader, the chairman of this committee. I graduated from law school with him the same day, Bernard Ahiafo, with Honorable Amwakwata and Professor Abuchi and Ben Say of Nanado Chambers and others. So I am tied to Law Trust, and I'm a lawyer in good standing. I've paid all my subscription. Indeed, subject to Parliament clearing me, I do 2 additional things. I'm into football and I'm into law. I appeared before the 8th Parliament to get justification to hold office
Honorable
of
nominee,
profit.
enough. Honorable nominee, the almighty free SHS that you're looking forward to reform, review, is in order. I mean, obviously, coming from where we started, from where people even thought it is not possible. I am happy that as a nation, we appreciate the fact that we've done so well in educational reforms. I commend the respected Dr. Yaweduchum for the effort. I commend Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe, who is not with us in this parliament, for his effort. And above all, the Akufo-Addo government. I feel assured that you intend to review and look at the areas that were not too successful so that you make it better. That said, may I tease your mind on this? There is this talk that even in mighty America, free education does not include boarding. In advanced democracies where emphasis is on free education, boarding is not part. And at Ghana, we have punched above our weight by introducing free boarding. Your honest view, do you think that we must continue to have free boarding?
Even expanded. Kandiga is not America. Wulugu is not America. I'm sure one of the communities in the Winneba area is not America. They have access. The transport systems are networked and effective. It is not so for Ghana. For many children, I'm sure members of parliament even have to buy bicycles to support them to be able to commit to school daily. It means that for some to access this good quality education, they need to do more. So increased boarding facilities for deprived rural areas is important. Review, as announced by President Mahama, is not cancellation. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, if the nominee will be pleased, I should proceed to have a discussion with him on the tertiary education we have in Ghana. His party in opposition promised free university tuition for year one. And in all fairness to your government, you were very specific that you pay for year one. First semester of the academic calendar for the universities have since commenced. May I know from you whether your government intends to implement this policy in your first budget to take care of semester one? No, you don't know.
On the authority of President Mahama, I'm sure his Minister of Finance, if this House approved, Honorable Tuforson, will present the reset budget of the government. It will include some provision of some 345 million cedis to cater for admission fees for students undertaking courses in the normal subject areas, not professional areas like medicine. And for President Mahama, this is a model to experiment. You will look at it. How do we fare as a country? If it is possible for expansion, then he will expand it. And he's not asked that if you are able, you should not. We know that some students have already paid their admission fees. It will be refunded to them. Honorable Leader.
Honorable Chair, we are engaged in a public discourse. If the nominee will be pleased, may he bring clarity to this matter. In your manifesto launch, which took place in Efutu, Winneba, Efutu. By the way, Winneba is the capital of Efutu. And you entered Winneba with all the glory and assurances to the nation. You did not say admission fee. The statement was free universities. I'm quoting President Mahama's words. Free first year tuition fees. First year, we have semester 1 and semester 2. It is the NDC manifesto did not promise admission fee for first year. It did not promise admission. So I just, with the greatest respect, at the risk of sounding immodest, pray you to bring clarity to what exactly you intend doing for the first year university student.
Thank you very much, Leader. Fortunately, I was a member of the manifesto committee, so I still recall even when we had to discuss this subject, we asked Professor Odro and a team to go out and work out the numbers for us to discuss with the President before we went public. Leader, for your purposes, tuition is free in all public universities in Ghana. Therefore, we're referring to admission fees. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, the jury is out there, so some of the issues we are unable to resolve, we'll leave it for the jury to determine. There's no problem. We have to move on. Now, let me also, for the benefit of clarity, if you say all universities, does that also mean all tertiary institutions?
Leader, if you note, that's why, for instance, expanding free senior high school, the President said public, because the double track system has to be addressed. So we have to look into private senior high school. What capacity do they have? Maybe 150,000, and you have a number of 300,000 young people who ought to be in school. Today, as we speak, year 3 and 1 are in school, 2 is home. Or year 3 and 1 are in school, 2 is home.
Honorable nominee, respectfully, I'm not cutting you. I think the mainstay of my question was in respect of the tertiary. You know, we have nursing colleges. We have colleges for animal husbandry or veterinary. You know, we
use the word universities for that purpose.
So yes, so that is why other friends of committee, there is an important discussion. Now, so do I take it from the clarity you provided that College of Nursing, colleges of education, colleges of agriculture, and other colleges of tertiary in stature are not part of this first year free tuition policy of the NDC government?
I'm not able to use tertiary and university interchangeable here for this purpose. I had admission fee for first year university students. Thank you.
Chair, again, on this very subject matter, I appreciate the sincerity of the nominee, and again, the jury is out there to make their determination on this important matter. However, Honorable nominee, don't you think that having regard to the expectation of the Ghanaian youth in respect of this free first year tuition, they would find the policy discriminatory if you are only giving this benefit to university students? You have earlier referred to some constitutional provisions, Article 25 and 38 and all. Don't you think that the Ghanaian youth out there who is attending a college of education, who is attending a college of agriculture, who is attending a college of nursing, will feel discriminated against since he or she is also having a tertiary education?
For President Mahama, if it was possible to grant free education to every Ghanaian, he just would have done that. It depends upon the size of the economy and what our economy vis-a-vis demands from other sectors of the economy can do. Thank you.
Babaru.
Tutubra.
Very well. So
you have to tell members that you are the only person who knows my two known names in the university.
On the TVET, you know, the enrollment levels were very low until it was also made free. Can you share with us your plans in ensuring that you sustain, one, and two, to encourage as many talented Ghanaians to walk that path in acquiring skills, rather than insisting on going into the mainstream senior high school?
Thank you very much. The relationship between industry, employability, hinges on the quality and training of young people with employable skills, which are largely technical, vocational. I'm aware that the Honorable Iddrisu and his colleagues tried a number of TVET institutions. In my review of the handing over notes, the infrastructure, he just started when government had to go through the debt crisis, and therefore there was no funding to complete many of them. Be assured that we'll complete all of them to support President Mahama's agenda to get more young people employable by way of those skills. Now, the problem with many of the TVET institutions was retooling and equipment. It's not just about building the infrastructure. If you said carpenters, have you provided for their training? If you said masons, have you provided for their training? So we'll look into it and ensure that at least every region has a model of the TVET institution that is dedicated to them, because we also must deal with a problem that you don't get 400,000 SSS students who don't know their fate beyond completion of senior high school. Then you'll be producing a cohort of unemployment graduates for that category of young people. So we would invest in TVET. Technical and vocational education is important, and requisite financing will be provided for them. But as I said, I look forward to decapping GET Fund and dedicating many of it to get robust infrastructure done.
Chair, if the nominee will be pleased, I would want to draw his attention to His Excellency the President. On his campaign trail, I believe he identified some challenges in the school feeding program. And at one point, he did indicate that instead of government having to procure for the schools, he will rather come up with a policy to let the head teachers themselves procure the items, the food items directly. In other words, he will transfer the funds to the schools so that the schools themselves would procure the food items for the students. May I know from you, Honorable Nominee, if indeed, beyond the campaign rhetoric, this is also part of the policies that you are going to introduce as a way of ensuring, in your own way, efficiency in the free SHS system in terms of the aspect that deals with school feeding?
First of all, to note that in our manifesto, the words that were used was to implement no academic fee policy for first-year students in all public tertiary institutions, including universities, colleges of education, and nursing training colleges, for the record, leader. So this is our pledge.
I know why I was pushing you. I'm happy, you know.
I appreciate it.
I know why I was pushing you, because your manifesto is here. So I wanted to be sure. And so I'm happy you've gone back to clarify, to give assurance.
Thank you.
Yes, I must. If opposition leader cannot have access to your manifesto, then what is my use? I must have it.
Thank you, leader. And Chair, school feeding.
I mean, school feeding in this context is referring to the senior high school, not the basic school feeding.
Yes, school feeding for senior high school was largely done in a centralized form by the previous government, taking advantage of two institutions, the Buffer Stock Company and the Ghana Commodity Exchange. And it allowed for central purchase in some quantities of these food items. Headmasters already played some role when it came to perishable items, uniforms, and others. We have to phase out implementation because we cannot afford any food shortages as the schools run. 3rd January, we have to provide for stability of their calendar and make sure that there's adequate food and the quality of the food. But certainly the GES and headmasters will have a role. It's more, Chair, a cash flow problem, and how early the Ministry of Finance releases those funds. If we are not careful, there will come a time that you would have done purchases and major suppliers will say that they won't do it because they've not been guaranteed or assured. So we have to deal with the cash flow problem, which is a matter which can be resolved between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Education. But for us, is to assure that we stop any potential disruption of the school calendar arising out of the lack of or delay in getting these food items to the school. We will work with those institutions, but define a role for the headmasters in a phase-out process. Thank you. Senior, please. Employment.
employment. My constituency produces the highest number of diploma and B.Ed graduates. You know, Bachelor in Education. As you may know, UEW was established as a specialized tertiary facility to train teachers and feed that market. On a daily basis, they come to me. This morning, I received a message. Which message is to ask you what plans you have to get as many of them who have graduated and are still unemployed into getting the employment with GS.
GS, it will be a function of availability of funds and a matter of vacancies arising, the location of those vacancies, who is willing to go, and then the Minister of Finance granting clearance to the Minister for Education to recruit such number of teachers as may be desirable for the running of our educational system. As and when we get the clearance, we would honor those numbers. Thank you.
Senior, again, may I know from you about this licensure examination policy of the MPP? Are you going to maintain it? Chairman, the friends of this committee from the majority side must know how we operate. They should stop it. Will you maintain it or you will abolish it?
We will have a systematic review of it to abolish it. We are going to review the curricula of the colleges of education and the faculty of education of the universities. They will incorporate it as part of the exam that students will write, and when they pass it, they are on. Thank you.
Now, let's come to this very nagging national issue, the LGBT issue. Now, His Excellency President Mahama, recently in his engagement with the religious bodies, specifically the Catholic bishops, indicated that the law that stops, prevents, alienates, and prevents this issue of sexual rights, same-sex relationship does not necessarily need to be enacted, and that perhaps the country can explore the possibility of introducing our value system into the curriculum so that the children can, at that elementary stage, have certain understanding of the Ghanaian value system. May I ask you, Honorable Leader, your own views about the option to introduce a value system to systematically give a certain direction to our children instead of enacting a law?
Leader and Chair, I do not want to reduce this matter to a religious debate. It's a cultural wrong. With my religion as a Muslim, you know where I stand on this matter. It is repugnant to my Muslim values and ethics. I do not want to believe that many a Ghanaian parent would want their children trained in a way which is not consistent with the way me and you were brought up as Ghanaians, either from Efutu or from Wayamba in Tamale. And therefore, I would want to end it here, stating that we are a country and we define our values, both social and cultural. We should expect all other persons to respect those values. Thank you.
Chairman, I think I would put the question this way. You see, and I agree with Mr. President when he states that the curriculum, our teaching materials in our schools do not sufficiently inculcate our value systems in our children. I agree with him based on what the current status of our curriculum. I want to know from you that said, would you embrace any policy from His Excellency the President, which policy will proactively seek to opt for a value system based approach to sexual rights rather than the law?
Thank you very much. I would engage the President on the matter. The President does know my position on this subject, and it remains unchanged. But I do not think that any Ghanaian parent wants teachers to take their child to school and teach them that a man can relate to a man and a woman can relate to a man, but within the context of rights guaranteed. We are a country. We have our own values. We have a duty to preserve those values within the ambit of the Constitution. And Leader Kwamna, it is not for nothing that in the Constitution, you always get words like subject to public morality. Whose morality? Ghana's defined morality. Thank you.
So, therefore, is it your suggestion to the country that you will embrace a very proactive value system rather than going... Let me finish. Yes, that's the point. The reference point is a Ghanaian value system, none other. So my point is that would you assure the Ghanaian public that you, on the basis of Mr. President's vision on this matter, Mr. President's position on this matter, will opt for a Ghanaian value system to be introduced right from the KG, primary, all the way up, rather than a strict law in this matter?
Thank you very much. It's noted. Growing up, even with you, if you went to school, you know where young ladies could go, and you know where boys could go. That is Ghanaian value system. We'll preserve that. Thank you.
Very well. You being a senior at the bar, you're able to run away from very serious cross-examination, and you couldn't have done less. That's okay. We'll let the jury determine this matter. We'll go for a broader debate on this matter. Senior, your colleagues in Parliament have this to say about you, quote, you are visionary, strategic, collaborative, a team player, and that you have a foresight, and you also demonstrate pragmatic approach in solving problems. Your colleagues know you as such. What is there for you to share with the Ghanaian youth who wants to know who Haruna Iddrisu is?
To the Ghanaian youth, I come from a very, very humble beginning. I just buried my late mother, my uncle, who told me that I should hasten cautiously and that I should not be in competition with any person. I should have faith in myself. I should be strong to defend my convictions as to things that I think that are right, and that I should always believe that if I do right, posterity will vindicate me with time. So for young people, it's important that we all grow with integrity and discipline, and we shouldn't be too competitive. Today is Honorable Afenyo Makin, majority leader yesterday, minority leader today. Thank you.
Colleagues, Mr. Chairman, I'm compelled to make a disclosure, and it's because Honorable Iddrisu is serving as an inspiration to the many youth out there. It's not only they, including me. I recall when our party won in 2016, and in 2017, I didn't get selection. He was one person who told me that come what may, I will be a leader, and I have become a leader. So, leader, I didn't know what you saw, but I just want to say that we appreciate you. Now, let me ask you, what is your, leader, don't look at your time. This exercise is good for democracy, and I know as a lawyer you enjoy debate. This is a very healthy engagement. Chair, what is your relationship, your working relationship with Honorable Dr. Clement Apak, who is a respected member of the academia and found his way into Parliament?
Solid. In fact, leader, the Honorable Clement Apak, I shared a true stance with him. We're in Commonwealth Hall together. I should remember that.
Honorable Apak, you are supposed to be calm when there's an advert in your favor. You are not supposed to. You're not supposed to be touting your own whatever. If you can do your own work, do it.
We're in Commonwealth Hall together, and I still remember those days with him and Chief Magas when they wanted me to be the chief vandal. It is when I told Commonwealth Hall that I was keeping my eye on the SRC or Nook's presidency, depending upon what support.
You know the essential qualification to becoming a chief vandal. So you had all those essential qualifications.
Thanks to him.
Very well. Thus assured, I entertain no doubt that should Mr. President ask you certain relevant questions, he will receive a tongue.
Leader, you are making a determination for the president.
Report.
Thank you.
No, get my question right. This is hypothetical. It's very hypothetical. I'm not part of your government. I'm a humble opposition leader. I'm asking you that should you be given the opportunity, should he be assured of receiving a tongue of good report from you?
Leader, the assurance of the president is weightier and better than mine in this matter.
Let me conclude by asking you this. We are politicians, and this is my last question to you. And again, I want the Ghanaian youth to listen to this and how you answer it. We go through low moments in our politics, days of adversity. You were a student leader, rose to become a cabinet minister. When your party was in opposition, you were privileged to have been selected as the primus of your inter-pares. And you became the primus of your side for some 6 years. Share with us, how did you find your transition?
Transition from where to where?
That is when you had to give space for a younger person, to take over from you.
I took it very easy. When I was told that there would be a reshuffle of the minority, I believe I got a call whilst I was entering Joy FM for a major interview from President Mahama, and he indicated to me that, Harun, I'll call you shortly to discuss a very important matter. If you remember, I think it was PM Express. And for me, if you look at President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation's address, the last one, I should be the most encouraged. At least he admitted that he suffered an effective opposition in the hands of Haruna Iddrisu and the likes of our MPs, even if he didn't say so tacitly. He said the nature and character of the parliament, the speakership, and his inability to get things through. I believe that in the last 7 years, I served my country well as minority leader, contributing to, you know how I got it under your slaves, getting Bagbin elected as speaker. And for many in the NDC, those of you who were at Marriott Hotel, the Honorable Yusuf and Soyene and Nogbe is here, I told them that a tortoise will ride an elephant at dawn. You remember that? Didn't a tortoise ride an elephant? We worked towards it and we achieved it. And you know, I had Honorable Muntaka. We had a certain gelling chemistry of a relationship. So as minority leader, getting Bagbin elected was significant for me to change the course of parliamentary accountability in our country. Research have demonstrated that the 8th Parliament will be remembered for its effectiveness in demanding accountability. There are many policy issues that I'll walk to you and J. Mensa, and I'm sure I can use the word today. There was a day they said, more tunnel. He's been bought. So I walked to you and said, J. Namiya Kobi na autonomy. I told the Honorable J. Mensa that no, some decisions I'm guided by the good of our country and the future of our country. And that I take those decisions, taking responsibility. Indeed, I told the Honorable Sohine that when President Mahama begin constituting government, I'll be appreciated as former minority leader. Even the engineering you are doing here, people appreciate a Haruna Iddrisu. There were some decisions that you are guided collectively by the party, and then we take a decision. But as I said, I have never, ever regretted being changed as minority leader. I don't carry guilt in my heart. I've had my opportunity. I went out there to campaign and work for the NDC because I was convinced that in terms of the management of the economy, I wasn't satisfied with how the MPP had managed the country and its governance. So I don't carry guilt in my heart. I had a rare opportunity to serve, probably the first in my part of the world, if not the first in my country. And those who know me, there is a Quranic verse that I share with my mother, Aman Rasul. God does not give you a burden you cannot carry. So I'm sure at that time, God wanted a certain burden off my head. Which burden was that don't be minority leader, be MP for Tamale South. I keep telling my colleagues that my greatest asset is the preservation of Tamale South. And therefore, I thank the chiefs behind me and the people of Tamale South for giving me religious trust to keep the seat. So you can think minority leader was just an opportunity to serve. Those 7 years, my footprints are there and they remain there.
Chairman, that would end my questions. I shall conclude with some few remarks that would not be outside of this domain. Honorable nominee, thank you for inspiring so many people in the political class. Your story is telling. I would urge upon you to get your memoir done as quickly as possible. I know you have some more details you've shared with me. Please, let it be known so that the young ones will know that it's not easy to walk this road. But I think that as education minister, if you get a nod, the key person to work will be your finance minister. And I know the good relationship you have with Ato. If he's proving stubborn, call upon me. I'll do him A2 for you, and then he will do the needful. But let me thank you one more time. The committee is here to take a decision on you, by the way. So, thank you very much. Chairman.
Thank you. Chair.
Thank you very much, Ranking Member. May I have the pleasure to announce the presence of a list of visitors here to give moral support to the Minister-designate for Education. Mary Safua Yeboah, a spouse of the Minister-designate. Baba Mamadou Bawa, Nantonna, Ibrahim Mohammed, Nyangpal Na. Please, I am going by the list that I have. So what is here is not Nyangpala, but it's Nyangpal Na. Four, we have Ibrahim Ziblim, Lamashi Lana. We have Andani Mohammed, Tugu Lana. We have Bukari Yakubu, Kasul Lana. We have Mahama Arahassan, Bamvum Bam Lana. We have Dr. Jacob Yakubu Mahama, Zimbalun Na. We have Fuseni Nyabawa, Tamale Dakpema. We have Iddrisu Mohammed, Sakab Na. We have Sintaro Mahama, Sakoya Na. We have Dr. Iddrisu Sulemana, Principal, Tamale College of Education, brother of the nominee. Alhassan Abdul Rahman, Chief Executive, Rahman Group. Dr. Atik, Chief Executive, TTH. Mohammed Abdul Salam, Regional Secretary, NDC, Northern Region, and Chief Executive of NLA. We have Dr. Iddrisu Muntawakil, neurologist. We have Alhaji Sulemana Abdul Rauf, Constituency Chairman, NDC, Tamale South. We have Dauda Mohammed Jawara, Belegu Lana. We have Abdullahi Rami Nyashi Na. Then we have list of officials from the Ministry of Education. Mrs. Mamle Andrews, Chief Director. Mavis Asari Donko, Director GA. Inusa Shazu, Director PBME. Benis Mpere Jechi, President, Ghana National Education Coalition. Dr. Aisha Akrofi, President, Ghana National Association of Private Schools. You are most welcome. Honourable members, let me state the fact that the Minister-designate is my classmate. We were 2002 law school batch. So we are about 23 years standing at the bar. I intend not to ask him any question, but to congratulate him on his nomination as the Minister-designate for Education. I strongly believe, if given the nod, he would discharge his responsibilities diligently and reliably. On that note, Honorable Minister-nominate, you will surely hear from the committee. Thank you for attending upon the committee. You are discharged. Our next nominee is Honorable Eriko Puku, Minister-designate for Food and Agriculture.